Welcome to the Reddit Rainforest. Don't forget to grab your hat, rope and boots. We are heading into the forest for some loot. Today, what happened to your school bad boy / girl? My biggest bully in middle / high school ended up going to prison. Funny thing though, my mom worked in that prison, and they got to know each other. When he got out, he found me and apologized. He later got a job at a local Taco Bell, and whenever I came in he would always add a bunch of free stuff to my order. I have not seen him in almost 2 decades, but I know he became a dad. I actually hope he's doing well. Edit just looked him up. Had 3 kids, a wife, and is a contractor now. I'm glad he turned it around. That went from 100 to 0 real quick. I'm glad he made amends and is now living the life. Shot and killed 2 fellow students behind a Publix across the road. So now he's in prison. Man, even behind a Publix. That's rare AF. Where shopping is a pleasure. It really is. Though, Publix is a malarkey. Like it was straight out of a movie. He died in a car crash the night of graduation. My nod on methadone the night before graduation. Honestly, nobody was surprised. Sad, maybe, but not surprised. He's an eggplant farmer. Literally. Delightfully niche. Definitely a quiet lifestyle. I can respect it. Lots of meth. She posts photos of her newborn boy and calls him her sexy little man. When people call babies sexy, it makes me want to barf on them. It's so gross. On the babies? Don't do that. On the people. Babies generally barf on themselves enough. Alcoholic. Missing most, or his teeth. Usually in between jobs in either lawn service or pest control. Has custody of his kids cause he's the good parent. She's dead. Odd right out of high school. He got arrested for spray painting a wall and happy ending. He went back to school and got into uni. Nice to see a happy ending. It's so funny. In some aspect just about every classmate of mine was a bad kid. Many went on to college or have kids. But many others have struggled. Out of 55, 12 have died. We graduated high school 6 years ago. Where the duck do you guys live? In Switzerland. I know none in my school that has died because of drugs or crime. I live in a cute little town in PA, USA. I would consider it a pretty wealthy place. Heavily white. Lots of real estate and financial companies. We have a huge opioid problem, mostly with high school kids to about mid-20s range doing it. And up until the pandemic, there were kids dying constantly of odds. I do not know if it's just harder to get now or the news is not covering it as much, but I have not heard much on the topic for the last couple months. Anyway, I remember my dad driving me to a friend-so funeral when I was 15 and saying to me, "You have been to more funerals before the age of 16 than I have been to in my whole life." I always find it mad that so many people out of a year group can die. I left secondary school 5 years ago after A-levels, and not one of my year has died. That's 300 people, yet my brother was 2 years below, and before they finished XESO, aged 16, feed lost to classmates. Got a girl pregnant, abused / killed the baby, and he's still in prison 12+ years. He's not the best younger brother, but what can ya do? Damn. Do you guys communicate at all? When my parents push me enough, he and I chat on the phone. They do not believe he did it, even though the evidence was overwhelming. I have found over time it's so bad for my mental health to try to talk to him, but I do feel bad for my parents and what he's put them through, and I try to put myself in their shoes, so I try to do it for them. He moved to California and became an ad film director. His Instagram stream regularly contains pics of him posing with topless models, celebs and fancy cars and bikes. He also has a boat, so he's all living up to his childhood image, I say. Drugs and brain damage. In middle school there were these twins who were both really cool. They had a band. One did drums, while the other sang and played guitar, skated, occasionally got in trouble with the law, but for really small things. A few months ago I was taking a bus when I saw them get on. They were clearly homeless, and one of them kept whining to the other that he needed his fix. He passed out, and his brother half-heartedly puked into his hand. Eventually the bus driver saw one of them, I'm a lucky you not, stripped down to his boxers to get some non-puke stained clothes on, and told them to get the duck off the bus. Told my folks about seeing the twins. Apparently they have been in and out of jail for years. Other guy I did karate with in middle and high school and was a sweet guy who had a bit of a temper and was a bit of a troublemaker. I saw him on the streets. We were both in our mid-20s, but he looked like he was pushing 40. He talked slow. One side of his face drooped even when he smiled, and he walked with a limp. I later found out that he was an on and off heroin addict and had been in enough fights that he was permanently brain damaged. School bad boy. When I was there was my older brother. Drug dealer. Played in a metal band. General smartest and arsehole. He flunked out of college after 2 semesters and has been waiting tables since then. He turns 30 this year, and the girl he's dating now is the first one who stayed with him for more than 6 months. She's super cool, actually, but like 5 years younger than him. They have a couple dogs, smoke a lot of weed, and play a lot of D&D. Last I heard from him, he was escalating a feud with his neighbor by putting a plate and a half worth of loose cooked spaghetti in her mailbox. Putting a plate and a half worth of loose cooked spaghetti in her mailbox. These innuendos get weirder every day. You are the second person I have met who had a neighbor feud that involved spaghetti. In my case, my neighbor threw a bowl of spaghetti at my apartment door because I was not home and therefore could not talk to her, and the cops got called because she would not stop screaming at my rheumatizo boyfriend. This means she came to my apartment armed with the spaghetti already. This was like 10 years ago, and I still have so many questions. I have never thought of spaghetti as something you could arm yourself with. My world is different with this newfound perspective. A rumor went round school that he was messing around with a 13-year-old at 16. She fell pregnant. He got done for statutory rape. Her parents pressed charges and he went to juvenile detention. He married her anyway once she was legally able to get married, although I believe they divorced shortly after, and he became a grandfather at 31. Presumably because the daughter they had also fell pregnant at a really young age. Damn. That's one young gramps. 2 bad boys. Both brothers. A few years apart. The younger one started some sort of legitimate business. Think Roy from The Office. And seems to be doing extremely well. The oldest is literally homeless and constantly begging for money on Facebook. It's so really sad. Had her second kid at 14. Good lord. That makes me sad. He was not the quintessential bad boy but did drugs. Drank. Got arrested for drugs. Total partier. Always nice to me, and we were friendly, but that whole scene just was not my thing. That was 1981, and up until 2013 wondered whatever happened to him. Found out my daughter's new boyfriend was his son. I was very relieved to find out that shortly after high school he realized he was going nowhere fast. Cleaned himself up, and started a successful business. Thrilled to say that my husband and I share 2 beautiful grandchildren with he and his wife, and I could not be more happy about it. The one that comes to mind forced his ex at gunpoint into his car and then drove to another state. Cops eventually caught up with them and then he shot himself in the car. I feel really bad for the girl. Ouch. He had kids early. Still lives in his parents' basement. The life. Living the dream. She was a bit of a goth. Smoked in front of the school. Smoked pot behind the gym. Graduated valedictorian. Went to Stanford on a full ride scholarship. Goth valedictorian. Awesome. Big titty goth valedictorian. Love those search results on the hub. Went to prison for selling drugs to minors about a year after he left our school. Some guy. IDK if he went to my district or not. And well over his 20s. Started selling vapes to middle schoolers only if they either sent him nudes or had sex with him. He was arrested in the winter. Not sure what else happened. What the duck. That was me. I went to live with my uncle. He spent about 5 years intensively working with me, and now I'm good. Nice guy. How's your relationship with your uncle now? Buy him a beer for me, will you? I still live near him and call him dad. Will buy him beer. Not sure how this happened, but there were 3 bad boys on our football team. All players and all very good looking. They cussed, drank, smoked all the time, and were constantly getting laid. Or at least telling everyone they were. Right around senior year/college they each went through some change and are all now born again Christians. No partying, less cussing, and none of them talk about women in an objectifying way. It's so great but kinda unnerving in a way, right? Like did they go on a bender and murder someone together? This is the best theory to explain this that I have heard so far. I once had one of my middle school bullies turn out like this. He was literal trailer park trash who sold meth when he was in 7th grade and used to torment the hell out of me because I was fat and he was also mentally unstable as a duck. Found his Instagram and found out some things. He had a kid at 17, got married at 18, divorced at 20, and married again less than a few months after his first divorce. He is also a devout Christian, and I mean devout like his entire page is just scriptures and him thanking God for how blessed he is. Remember, this is the same kid who used to threaten me with burning down my house with his meth buddies just for malarkers and giggles to see how my skin would melt. I wanted so bad to DM him and demand an apology for the years of hell he put me through, but I figured I would wait for him to come to me. That still has not happened, so I'm assuming the page is to just keep up appearances, and he has not changed at all. It's fucking weird, man. The kid who said openly that he worships Satan more than once now is a devout Christian teen dad divorcee. The funny thing I learned about bullies as someone who got bullied themselves as a kid, they do not remember their victims, while the victims remember their bullies in exquisite detail. In my mid-20s I became friends with a girl who was dating one of my former bullies. We were hanging out at my house and she wanted to invite him over. I refused. I did not want him in my home. He was apparently shocked and upset at my reaction. He thought we were friendly and that during high school we were joking around. Mamma mia, pizzeria, you arrived at the end of video. Now is time for the end wrap. If you are new, you did not expect that. Stay tuned for more gas new videos up fast now. Please leave a like or a man named Mike will steal your bike. Either way, you are still a baller. Comment something down below that will make folks holler. Now goodbye.